somewhere where it's easy to do math. So the doorbell's in the way. And then you should be able to set the crown in. Okay. Today I am painting. I am painting crown molding for the living room. This is going to be a 3-part crown molding, and I'm painting it first to make it easier, hopefully to make it easier. I'm using a combination of rolling and a brush, mainly rolling the edges of the crown. And actually, forgot a step. Dusted these off outside a little bit, but I went over them with all the other ones I painted. I went over with a tack cloth. I forget what this is called, to get more of the dust off. I don't know, they just felt really dirty. Don't do like I'm doing. Definitely recommend dusting them completely before you open your paint. I started painting yesterday, and it was supposed to be quite hot yesterday. So I set up to paint inside, and it's just easier since I'm already set up my very high-tech paint booth here, just to keep painting inside instead of taking everything outside. And this way I can also just leave this overnight without having to put everything away. Since watching someone paint is almost as boring as watching paint dry, we will put this in warp speed. It is going to take 2 coats of paint. You can already see some spots that I missed. I am using the Emerald line of paint by Sherwin-Williams, and it is actually enamel in a semi-gloss. It's in the color Create, which is the same color I have on my walls, if you're wondering. So I did mention that this is going to be a 3-part molding. We have the crown is the middle piece, and these were already painted as well. So this is actually a baseboard molding. So that is going to go on the wall, just a couple inches down from the ceiling. This will be the ceiling side. And the crown will sit somewhere like that. So that's quite built up. And then my condo already had this molding on the ceilings. So that's the 3rd part. So the crown, I should get on a ladder. The crown will sit, you know, somewhere like that. And the baseboard, again, will just go up along here. I put up a laser line because what I'm trying to figure out is the ceiling level. So if I put up the base molding and it's completely level, but the ceiling's not, then the crown isn't going to fit correctly because it's trying to fill in the gap in the middle. So I think I'm just going to base the spacing on the ceiling. So I'll just create a spacer block and come down X amount of inches from the ceiling. Cut a small piece of the baseboard so that I could get an idea of how I wanted this to sit on here in the placement. So we're just going to show about a 1/4 inch of this section, and most of this will be covered up by the crown. Now, there's one unfortunate thing. Now I have this gap that I'm going to have to deal with. Also, I'm going to put it up one piece at a time, but it's not going to go flush up against the ceiling. So I cut all of these little spacers, and I could have just used a piece to space them out, but I had this wood, so I'm just going to basically nail them up like that. and it'll be easier to put up the baseboard in the right spot. Don't try this at home, folks. Feeling too lazy to move the couch. Since my pieces are so little, I'm using another piece of wood to hold them instead of my fingers in case the nail shoots out a strange direction. Because walls aren't always 90 degrees in the corners, I used this seperate angle finder, and this corner actually I needed to cut 44 degrees instead of 45. So I already have done that. Now it is nice that I have some things to set this trim on already up here. Would be beneficial to know where my studs are, but I don't. Now I'm just going to put up all of the spacers all the way around the room before continuing with the base. Well, the doorbell's in the way, so we'll have to work around that. This is the first vent that we need to work around. So let me show you how we're going to handle that. This piece here is 14 inches wide on the back. These are cut at 45 for the outside corners. And these are 1 inch long to go around our vent. So I'm just going to glue these up with some CA glue. And that's on both sides. After the glue, this is what we have, this nice little box to go around the vent. And this is the next piece for the corner. Since around the vent I have nothing to nail into, I'm going to glue this together as well before we nail it up. And if I put all my nails above the our reveal, then I won't have to go back and fill those nail holes, which is nice. When you're working by yourself and you cannot measure all the way across, you can make a mark somewhere it's easy to do math. So like at 50 inches, and then measure from the other side and add 50. So there's 50. 50. And this is just under 49. It's 45 and 7/8. So we'll add those two together to get our full length. And that's going to be 95 and 7/8. I like to measure for one cut at a time. I think this gives me more accurate results when I'm cutting the trim. So taking that one measurement, I go down to the miter saw and then just cut one piece at a time. It is more trips back and forth to the miter saw, but again, I think it makes for more accurate cuts. Here you can watch me struggle to get this piece of trim up. It is almost 8 feet long, and only having 2 hands isn't quite enough. I did find a local woodworking store, and I have to say it is much cheaper than buying wood at the big box stores. I think that the baseboard molding here was about 50 cents a linear foot. And all of the pieces did come in 16-foot lengths, and I just had them cut them in half to 8-foot lengths so that I could actually transport them in my car. And I have to say that working with 8-foot long pieces, I'm sure is much easier than 16-foot lengths. I could only imagine. Even though I just told you that I like to measure for one cut at a time, that doesn't mean that they always come out accurate. This piece here did take a few tries to get it to actually fit. So don't think that all the cuts are always perfect on the first try. I just continued working my way around the room. I'd measure for one cut and then go back down outside to the miter saw and make the cut. Put that piece up and then repeat the process for the next piece. Sometimes when you're working with 2 hands, you don't get the trim nailed into the correct place. So you got to take it down and try it again. And what you don't see just off camera here is that I'm actually standing on the back of my couch. So that's making the struggle to put this up just a little bit harder. You may have noticed that I skipped over the doorbell above the front door, so I'll go back and handle that later. Here's what we have after the base molding has gone up. It already looks pretty. There's just this section where the doorbell's in the way. I think I'm just going to remove the doorbell because I have a ring. This is the corner I'm going to start the crown molding. I'm actually going to cut this side first. So that is an outside corner that we have to cut, and it is the right piece of an outside corner. So crown molding is always cut upside down. Let's go out to the miter saw and take a look. One trick for cutting crown molding is to set the molding in the same way that it's going to hit on the wall, but you make all your cuts upside down. So basically, the most decorative part is the bottom. So you set it upside down. So you can see here that when you set it on the saw, the bottom and the top should be flush with the saw. And it helps if you go ahead and draw some lines so that you know you have it in the right spot. So I just marked some pencil lines across my saw there. And then our first cut is going to be an outside cut. Outside cut, it's the right piece. So we're going to put the wood to the left of the blade here. Blade's here, so wood is mostly on the left. And then we set 45 degrees to the right. Our bevel's at 0. So let's go ahead and make that cut. I'm working alone today, so I'm going to try using these fast cap crown molding lips to help hold up the molding. They just look like this, so let's see how this works. So it says just to nail them up about 1 inch from the ceiling. And then you should be able to set the crown in. Okay, or not. Okay, you should be able to set the crown in there. Maybe I need one on the other side also. Okay, maybe that's too far down. Okay, that's a little better. I don't know about these. Okay, but they're in the way, creating a gap for the molding, at least right here. I press on the wood to see if there's any movement and then add nails as necessary. That piece wasn't quite long enough, so this piece here, we need to match this angle. And then this is an inside corner. We're cutting this piece and it's the left-hand side. So inside and left. Okay, we want to cut an inside left piece, which is what I have here on a sample. So for an inside joint, left piece, wood is to the right of the saw. 45 degrees to the right. And that's it. The wood is upside down, so we'll get this in place and make the cut. Okay, that cut's made, that matches. And essentially this is the piece that I want to cut here. This is the opposing cut that I want to make. So I'm just going to make sure I make that same cut, which is the same angle here. Okay, put that piece up. It fits very well. It's not nailed yet. I'm adding nails so that I can use the crown molding hooks again here. I guess it's gonna fit. Let's hope. It's hard to tell with these little helpers in the way. All right, let's set up for the next piece. Put up our hamburger helpers. Okay, that's not what they're called. I'm not sure if these would have been useful when I put up the base up here. Perhaps they would have. I am really starting to like these little helper clips. At first I wasn't so sure about them. The gap at the top is too big, so I'm going to recut this piece maybe at 44 degrees. Okay, I cut this at 44, 43 and a half, something like that. Let's see if it's any better. Oh, excuse me, plant. Okay, the angle's good. Let's see. Because my other piece is long, I'm gonna shave some of the back of this off to make it fit a little better. I'm just gonna use a file just to get some of this part off here. All right, let's see if that helps. It's not as perfect as I would like. I might just go cut this. Made a cut on the end there, you can see. Take some of the back off, so let's see if that fits better. I like to shoot 2 nails in the same spot at opposing angles, creating a V. This helps hold the trim up since it's fighting gravity. So that's going to do it for this week. I did figure out how to use the crown molding clips, and I do highly recommend using them if you're going to be installing crown molding by yourself. They were a tremendous help. So be sure to come back next week to see if I can get the crown molding installed or if another trip to the store is going to be required. Thanks for watching.